Hey there guys, this is Ron, and the purpose of this video is to address the North Carolina real estate investors. We've had inquiries from one recently that was having trouble with an attorney trying to tell them they couldn't do it in North Carolina. And then we had another inquiry from another individual that actually got contacted by the state and made them respond. So let me just tell you what I know. Remember now, I'm not an attorney, and I'm certainly not your attorney, but I have done some pretty extensive research on this matter. There's a couple issues here. First issue, are options assignable in North Carolina? I've found no evidence that says they are not, and I've talked to two attorneys that say there is nothing that says you cannot assign an option without a real estate license. But there are a couple of issues that you need to be aware of. Number one, when you put a tenant buyer in a house and that tenant buyer doesn't pay, you do have to evict that tenant buyer and go through the formal process even if they move out on you. Your new law does say that. In other words, you have to go through that proceeding. You probably would want to anyway, just to make sure they can't come back on you, but just so you know that. Number two, in North Carolina, you need that provision in your agreement, and I do have a contract that a North Carolina prepared for one of my students, but I honestly really don't have permission to release that contract, but I have done it for a couple of people. My friend Ray Ritchie provided me with that. He's had this vetted by his attorney, and there doesn't seem to be any issue with that. Now his attorney suggested that he put a 3-day right of rescission in it. There is no law that we can find that says you have to use a 3-day right of rescission. I think his attorney is just being overprotective to him. Frankly, I don't have any problem with that, but on the other hand, if you don't want to put that in there, that's okay as well. But other than that, you should take my lease option agreement, which is exactly what Ray did, take it to your attorney and have him adapt it to North Carolina law. It's really just that simple. There's not much he's going to change. I mean, there's very little that Ray's attorney changed. So, other than that, the licensing thing. Now, look, it has been and it always will be that you cannot sell or lease option or perform one of the 7 functions of real estate for the seller without a license for a fee. Now, we don't do that. Make sure you do not try to find a buyer for a property until you have a contract to either lease it or buy it from the seller. That would violate the licensing laws. However, if you are out there blatantly advertising that you sell houses, you can rest assured it's going to attract heat from the regulatory authority wondering why you're operating as a realtor without a license. There is nothing wrong that we can find with you putting a property under contract and then assigning that lease or subleasing it out. So you should check with your own attorney on that, but frankly, that's the case with anybody, anywhere. We always have to run these contracts through our attorneys one time, and then we got it done. Suggest you do that. If you're having trouble finding an attorney, then just keep looking, because honestly, that's never changed. People have been having trouble finding attorneys that understand what they do as long as I've been in the business for 31 years now. That's called kissing a lot of frogs. Sometimes you hit it dead on the first time, sometimes you have to go through 3 or 4. It's not that there's anything wrong with what you're doing, it's just that they don't understand and they don't want to take the time to bone up on it, to be honest with you. So I'd start with a real estate attorney. If they're not closing real estate, they're the wrong person anyway. And then if you're having a little issue, just go talk to investors who are already doing it, and they will guide you to good attorneys. That's how I found them. That's how I find them in every place that I go. That's the best bet. Talk to investors if you're a member of a local real estate group. Find out who they're using for the attorneys. Find out if they have any issues with these axe deals, and just keep asking until you find one that doesn't. And it won't take you long, honestly. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing. They do have to use contracts to comply with the new issues, but that's it in a nutshell. So beyond that, go get this fixed. It's too good for you not to. I have people doing these deals all over North Carolina. Please don't let anybody tell you there's something wrong with doing it. By the way, especially if they have a real estate license. Real estate licensees do not like what you do because it does take business away from them, or at least they feel that it does. The truth is, these axe deals, it doesn't, because they're not going to wind up selling them anyway, but they don't perceive it that way. So don't let the realtor scare you away. Just get advice from your attorney and let your attorney close the deals, and then you can go to bed and not worry about violating any of the rules. All right, I hope that helps.